Africa, where we sit, is now the area where we think the future is.
Africa is an incredibly rich continent. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's a gimmick that we are poor and that we're dependent upon aid.
For inter-African trade to take off, we as Africans must first agree that we have solutions to African problems. We need to talk to each other more.
Muchokomandenga zinanga ndi mtinta ninda kugulisa nsiza kugulisa no ndiko tulepo bwino kugulisa ku market kwatu kwa boda banana kwa banana 20 mapesa profit 10,000 chin 30 tutina zinalima kaili vakudya vinapya bonse so kankara kudovoje bamuna sibasebeza.
I sell in Zimbabwean people for men's shoes and for women's shoes. That is my business. It's that long bag. You use any money, kwacha, even US. Better you sell, you get a small profit. Yeah, that's why I go selling. But it's not print money, but they are small money I get.
My name is Beatrice Njovu. I'm coming from South Africa, going home, Lusaka. I get clothes, a few paper here and there because I'm into printing. I would rather pay. You know, I would rather declare my things and then I pay for them. I mean, if you're straight, you'll be given a proper value. Normally, I find it easy when I do things straight. I normally get to pay something reasonable.
The process is quite excellent. It's quite admirable. Compared to other borders like Bight Bridge or Nakonde, which is a 6-hour border, you spend less hours here, less trainers hours, and there is no red tape this side. It's just a bit of filling a document, you pass.
At the border, approximately within 1 hour, 30 minutes, we are already cleared. Once our goods are checked by the custom officers, those issues of corruption, they're not so common because mostly corruption usually begins with you yourself.
Yeah, just give me the entry number, then we can check for you.
Starts with you being the first hand, then that person, the custom officer, will be the second hand.
Development is a process. One of the key issues which has been delaying the growth of intra-African trade is the fact that African trade don't have a lot to trade between themselves. We used mainly to export raw commodities, but these raw commodities are exported in developed countries because in Africa we don't have technology to process these raw commodities into finished product we may sell. Rwanda has a longer-term vision to transform itself from a least developed country to a middle-income country. by the year 2020.
Statistics have shown us that 46% of intra-African trade is manufactured goods. And so we need to produce more manufactured goods if we want more trade.
So Vision 2020 it has pillars, and one of the pillars is the regional integration, regional and economic cooperation. As a landlocked country, we are facing a lot of non-tariff barriers. The non-tariff barriers to trade are, for example, the police roadblocks. We have way bridges. We have bureaucracy at the port. So that affects the normal citizen because the goods arrive in Rwanda at a very high cost.
Integration is good, is always good, especially this integration of East African community. It opens minds of people, it creates competitiveness among people. And for Rwanda, it's very good for us to expose what we are capable of, what we can trade in the region, what we can sell in the region. And it's good for us to get easily what we need from those countries, especially in terms of trade.
Je vais vous faire un petit rappel historique. La colonisation dans notre région ou ces régions n'était pas, pour la plupart des États, une colonisation de peuplement, mais c'était des colonisations d'exploitation. Donc, les puissances coloniales ont toujours mis le minimum des infrastructures pour permettre l'évacuation des produits de base, c'est-à-dire les produits minéraliers, les produits agricoles. Début des années 60, les pays accèdent à l'indépendance. Mais malheureusement, pour des contraintes d'ordre financier, pour des contraintes d'ordre organisationnel et de ressources humaines, nous sommes restés enclins à la même tendance. C'est-à-dire que pour une longue période, les premières décennies après l'indépendance, la conception des infrastructures n'a pas varié.
We are still very far from actually creating a free trade in Africa. Our mindset in Africa is not yet one where we think in terms of inter-African trade. We always think in terms of trade to Europe and now to Asia or to America. We are still locked up in a sort of colonial mentality, and our allegiances are still very much tied to the colonial period. We still have to liberate ourselves from that, to look in terms of what we can do for ourselves, what other African countries need that we produce, and so on. And until we get to that stage, inter-African trade would still be a lot more of a myth.
It's a major corridor in the sense that it is the easy gate to the Abidjan-Lagos corridor. So you have a lot of people passing through here for diverse purposes. The small-scale business, they trade between Ghana, Benin, and Togo, then also from Cote d'Ivoire through Ghana to Togo and Benin, then to Nigeria. And the ECOWAS protocol has spelled out that citizens of sister countries, they don't need visa. No fees are charged at the border. Nobody is supposed to pay any money to any officer. Our services are free.
I was taken aback when I was requested to pay 1,000 CFA by an official just at the before I went in. And then I was supposed to also pay 1,000 CFA for the stamp. And I thought that that's not how it should be. The stamp is supposed to be free.
So bring them in.
And yet again, when I got out after receiving my passport that had been stamped, I was asked to see another official sitting by the side to also check my passport. I'm sure to check whether I really had a stamp in something. And there too, I had to pay 1,000 CFA.
Have a good stay then.
That was something that I'd never anticipated, especially as a Ghanaian who is just crossing over to the neighboring country. I didn't think that I should dispense with so much just on entering.
Maybe the person, he come here, he don't know nobody here. But the place where he or she is going, he know. But instead to allow the person to go or to say, oh, next time do this, do this, do this, they just make something. At times you meet some people are crying here. When you are coming to Ghana, problem. When you are going to Togo, problem. Unless you have the document. But if you have the document, there is no problem for anybody.
When the trucks come, the first procedure is the driver to scan the weigh bridge here. Then the mate will get down from the truck, take the weigh bill, give it to the operator inside the office. We check the weigh bill. There's some information that we need. So we check the car number, where it's coming from, that is the origin, and then the destination, where it is going. This place is a very busy place. Sometimes here we can have about 300 cars a day.
The main problem is the customs, the officials. They disturb us too much. You too can go and experiment it. As a foreigner, you can go and experiment it. Just leave this place and enter Togo. They'll be collecting 1,000 from you. Small checking point within the border. At the end, you know that at least you spend almost 5,000 safer. It's not supposed to be.
You're supposed to pay something. If you don't pay something, they go delay you. They go delay you. Now, if you say you go talk with your rights, they go delay you like 3 hours, 4 hours. You see? Then you go. You're supposed to give them something. Then you go.
Governance is very important at the lowest level and also at the highest level. If it is going to be
something that would help us move forward in the area of deepening trade.
We should push the integration agenda. This continent will never reach the levels of growth and development that we are thinking about. We should uplift our people if we do not get together, create a bigger market. I think it's key.
I came to Cotonou many years ago, and I started by buying things from Nigeria. We now stand by the traffic lights. I trade motor parts, like fancy parts, something like wiper blade, like a C-cushion, that is triangle. We make little gain with plan, because there is a lot of sun here. It's more hotter than even Nigeria. So we sell it and make plan also to have a place that will not stay under the sun again. The two sides, the both left and the right. Yeah, I could give you for 15,000 francs CFA. It's 15,000, but I will do reduction and give you 14,500. It's very much important for government to look into trading country to country. One is to reduce the price of the duty of every goods that produced in a particular country to take to other country. You need to go to South Africa before coming to Nigeria or coming to Benin. You need to go to Ethiopia, fly from Angola, Ethiopian, before coming to this side. So like they have a straight transport, it could be easier for us and cheaper. So now we pay long distance before getting to a business destination.
Thousands of cars are coming to Benin every week. Every month, millions of cars are coming to Benin. It's the most largest country that bring out the fairly used cars. Niger, like Burkina, like Mali, or nearby country, they bought the car from here. The reason why the Nigerians come here to buy cars, because it's easy to clear. And you only bought your car today, you can clear it tomorrow. In Nigeria, there is the same cars, but if you bought the car today, you cannot be able to clear it under 1 month.
We are coming from Benin. We are heading to Nigeria. It's the border now, where people are, those that come from. Many people buy things from here and go across to Nigeria. Most of them enter motorbike, like we call it here machine, and move down to Cotonou. Because of this machine that you see around here, it's not difficult to cross because of the machine. Many people doesn't have passport to cross. The machine take them across, give them money. Now, when you reach a place that they need your passport, you give them money and cross over.
I've been coming twice every week. I buy the goods from Togo and I come right duty here and I take it back to Accra. I buy different types of goods, panties, materials, headgear. When they arrive here, the officers come and inspect it. They sort it up and they write the duty for us.
Traders who travel from outside, it can be in Ghana, some even come from Liberia, Burkina Faso, some come from Ivory Coast, and then they cross the border to go and buy from Togo. 2 or 3 people move together. That is what they do. They go and buy their things separately, bag them separately, and then maybe put them in one sack, bring them here. When they bring them here, then they claim ownership. This belongs to me, that belongs to my sister, that belongs to my friend. So that is what they do. When a trader walks in here, he or she is supposed to come and pay duties. So the goods we work on here shouldn't exceed $3,000.
When the CFA is down, it is good. This time the CFA is very high, and our profit is in the CFA. You come write duty in dollars. So this time we don't get profit. The government should let the CFA come down so that we buy goods and we pay tax to help him to pay his people. We traders, we are helping him.
ECOWAS should make sure that there is a real cooperation between landlocked countries and coastal countries when it comes to the shipment of a group through these coastal countries. ECOWAS tend to bring in regulation that are okay if you look through, but the actual implementation on the ground is not being monitored. I think there is a gap between what the convention are saying and what's being done on the ground. Well, the problem experience I have to see first with the port clearance of cargo. It's both operational issues and custom clearance. Then you have a delay, you have a complexity of the procedures, and you have a cost that changes without any notice.
Cameroon, you know, is a miniature of Africa. So you can imagine that all the crops all over Africa, we have it in Cameroon. We produce just everything. In other parts of Africa, for instance, you have Chad, you have Gabon, Equatorial Guinea. These crops are not found there. So much of our crops are being exported to some of these African countries.
Bon, la banane, on a des associés, c'est-à-dire des fournisseurs. Donc, depuis Libreville, nous faisons un express union à notre fournisseur depuis Yaoundé. Nous achetons de la banane ici. C'est vrai, il y a la banane au Gabon, mais c'est insuffisant. Parce qu'ici, nous sortons au moins par semaine, au moins plus de 20 camions par semaine. Et on le fait chaque semaine. Mais parce que les femmes veulent la volonté, les femmes veulent le faire. On dit que vouloir, c'est pouvoir. Les femmes le veulent et elles le font.
In terms of the flow of goods and services within this region, there is very little of it. If I have to go to Gabon, for instance, they still require a visa from me. And yet we all belong to the same economic zone. And theoretically, there's supposed to be a freedom of movement of goods and services and people. But in practice, that is not the case. If we take the CEMAC region, for instance, Cameroon is the largest economy in the zone It has the most educated people. So the other countries will be worried that if we open our boundaries, Cameroonians are just going to come in and flood this country, and that will make it difficult for the citizens of our country.
Normally, all container comes in Cameroon, land first at Douala. Somebody in the power now, if you don't have it, you cannot remove it. It is very, very, very complicated. Like now, my container has been there for almost 1 month. If you don't want them to spoil, to destroy your goods, you have to be social to them. And socialness here in Cameroon is with money.
Il ne faut pas se voiler la face. Il y a des questions de corruption, il y a des problèmes de raquettage le long des routes. Mais ce n'est pas le fait des forces de la police. C'est le fait des usagers qui trichent généralement. C'est des usagers, ils ne sont pas en règle. Quand ils ne sont pas en règle, ils essayent de brandir l'argent comme laisser passer.
I say inner wear mix men and women, then dressing for female only. This one is 25,000. When you buy a goods, you have to settle the customs of Cameroon. You still go again and settle the custom of Gabon before you enter with your goods. 50, no. Give 23.
23,000.
Nowadays, it's a little bit difficult. We cannot stay without. We'll still continue doing it. If there are changes, if the way things are entering, if the way they are selling things, if they really look into it, you can plan. I have children. They are going to school. You have to sponsor your children. You have to look for your life, all those type of things.
En Europe, partout, on va voir votre film là. J'ai été embauché dans les forces armées. Quand je travaillais dans les forces armées nationales, je fumais en même temps et je vendais mon poisson. Maintenant, c'est mon mari qui prend la relève dans la nuit. Il m'aide à travailler avec les enfants. Quand je suis venue en mariage ici, j'ai vu un grand village avec beaucoup de femmes et d'autres. J'ai donc rassemblé les femmes pour leur parler du fumage, que le fumage donne de l'argent et que c'est un truc qui peut nous faire sortir de la pauvreté. Quant à l'avocat, je sais qu'auparavant, on faisait l'huile d'avocat quand on était enfant. J'ai cherché à faire l'huile d'avocat, j'ai réussi. C'est comme ça que j'entre entièrement dans les huiles essentielles. Nous faisons également pour l'huile de safou. Puisque actuellement, même nous formons des jeunes filles qui n'ont rien à faire, qui n'ont pas fréquenté. Nous les formons en fumage et en séchage. Quand ils vont chez eux, ils fument, elles fument, elles vendent leur poisson, elles trouvent leur compte. Si bien que ça fait profiter beaucoup de gens, beaucoup de femmes qui viennent se faire former ici.
In the long run, the whole region is going to gain because of the issue of comparative advantage. And even where you do not have enough trained people, it gives an opportunity for people to get training, and as goods and services come in, it allows for the level of consumption of people to go up and so on. So there are enormous advantages, but it's just that the politicians don't look that far.
Trade is a most important tool for us to use to ensure that this growth can reach and address the issues of poverty. A number of challenges do stand in the way of promoting inter-African trade. it's very difficult to move within Africa. Infrastructure is very, very disjointed.
The Central Corridor is one of the most important, especially for the business to be conducted between Tanzania and Rwanda, plus DRC. Monthly, we are transiting more than 2,800 vehicles currently. An average of, say, 100 vehicles per day. The past 5 years, we used to have almost 20 vehicles per day. So we have an increment of about 400%. The bridge we're using to pass these vehicles to Rwanda is just a single lane. It's not possible to allow 2 vehicles to cross at the bridge just at once.
Hano tureba iyi modoka yinjiye tukareba ibyizanye n'ibyizanye bijyanye n'ibyo baba badekaraye ku bijyanye n'impapuro zabo baba baduhaye. Noneho turangije tuba dufite za dokima baba bavanye hariya hakurya. Ubu ngiyi namaze kuyisikana hano. Izi ni intuza zayirangiye iyo tuyirangije kuyisikana. Noneho turaje kuyisikana.
Akaba ari ku mupaka w'u Rwanda na Tanzania. Ibi biro turi imbere akaba ari ibiro by'abadekarara bose bakorera ku Rusumo, akaba ari bo bafasha abacuruzi kwambutsa ibicuruzwa byabo bijya mu Rwanda cyangwa se biva mu Rwanda bijya muri Tanzania. Bagafungura muri fonction akajya muri declaration, bakuraho icyo bita reference number, bagakura imizigo yabo muri systeme ya Tanzania, bisobanuye ngo ubwo yinjiye mu Rwanda. Ikindi gishobora kugaragara rimwe na rimwe, hari ubwo tugira imodoka nyinshi cyane ziza, bikaba byatuma akazi umushoferi ashobora kuba yagera aha ngaha kuko nta parikingi iba hano ngaha nini imodoka ziparikamo kugira ngo zikorerwe impapuro zitegereje.
Kazi yangu ni mitari zikija kutoka hivi na za Rwanda zikaja kutoka hivi, tunafaulishia hapa. Kusimamisha hapa kwa ajili ya parking kuwa ni ndogo. Kule Rwanda nafasi haipo na hapa hamna nafasi. Kwa hiyo ndio wanabidi wafaulishia hapa. Ziwe zinawahi kurudi na za huko ziwe zinawahi kufanyaje kurudi, ziende kupakia mzigo mwingine. Ni saa tu inakuwa imeshamaliza, imeshatoa mzigo wake na kuondoka.
Kutoka Tanzania kuna mahindi, kuna mchele, kuna maharage, kuna vitunguu. Kutoka Rwanda kuna viazi, zinatoka Rwanda zinaingia huko Tanzania. Wanahitaji kufanya kazi masaa 16. Tatizo sasa linakuja wapi? Sisi kwetu hapa Tanzania umeme hatuna. Unaona? Kwa security inakuwa ni ndogo.
Siwezi nikasema kwamba yani napenda kwa sababu hizi kazi unajua ni matatizo mengi sana. Checkpoint zipo. Unapotoka Dar es Salaam unakuta checkpoint Misugusugu, ukitoka Misugusugu unakuja Dumila, ukitoka Dumila unakuja Isaka boda. Kwa kwamba ni polisi kwamba wanaposimamisha ina maana kwamba ndio wanakagua gari. Umeona bwana, ukishakumaliza kwa gari watakapoona kosa wanakuandikia faini. Ni faini. Kwa Tanzania. Na sio Tanzania tu, hata yani kwamba ni nchi zote.
Baki pale pajana pale.
Barabigira ariko ubundi ni nk'ubushakashatsi tube turimo bya bindi bavuganirwa bwemeza mirimo kuko niyo karamu yacu natwe tuba dufite nta kindi twabona cyadufasha kubera ko turi n'abakecuru nibwo bushobozi nazicuruze kera cyane naba nzimazemo nk'imyaka hari nka 20. Iyo nzishe hano bakampa amashiringi ndayavunjura hano cyangwa hariya kubavunjaje bakampa amanyarwanda yacyo. Dikura mu nyanya ntacyo ntanze n'inyanya ubwo nacuruzaga n'ibyo binyobwa byanjye. Niyo terambere nabonye ibyo nkora byampaye. Kuko byampaye n'agaciro kanini cyane mbona ingutiya n'umupira yo kwambara. Numva ko mfite ibyo kurya ntasabiriza.
Mimi naishi Arusha, nilitembea Rwanda, nilikuwa na biashara ya kuuza madawa za kienyeji. Tunapopita hapa hatulipi chochote, ni stampu tu unapata unaenda, na kule hatulipi kodi, huko kote mpaka unamaliza kazi yako unarudia kwenda.
Na ni changamoto zipi ambazo pengine zinakumba wafanyabiashara?
Joint Border Committee, it comprises of all government officials who are working in our border and small traders, clearing and forwarding agents.
Sisi ukilinganisha na Rwanda,
the dream of having such a committee is to solve the problem of traders.
Viongozi kule kwamba tumeazimia 1, 2, 3, tunatoa nguvu zetu, hatuna fungu lolote.
They have already removed the 44 barriers. We have only 7 national barriers. So it is a great achievement, which is an initiation of Central Corridor. One-stop border post is a nice idea because it will reduce the time of processing the document or processing the procedures on 2 sides.
What we see is the Autobed Bridge. That's the old bridge. It's been standing here since 1938. That bridge is only to take 1 vehicle at a time. When you are coming from Zimbabwe under the one border stop concept, you don't stop on the Zimbabwean side for anything. If you are driving a light vehicle or you are on a bus. We have an average of 500 people crossing the border every day. Most of them are in transit to South Africa, and some of them again are coming back to Zambia because they went to do business in South Africa.
I'm coming from Durban and heading to Zambia, a place called Lumwana Copper Mines. We are based in South Africa, Pretoria, but we're going Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, Congo. Border crossings can be difficult sometimes, depending on the paperwork. We have got a tendency to fax the papers in advance, but normally it takes at least 3 to 4 days to cross a border. There is countries that there is a lot of roadblocks, and anything will be searched for to get something, to get some money out of a driver, nitty-gritty little stuff, but on the road, yeah, that is something that happens.
The business in Africa, we can see there is a little bit of developing because they are busy mining in countries like Zambia, copper, machinery is coming from overseas. Plenty, as you can see, there are plenty here, so which means the business is doing well.
We think there must be an arrangement there. There must be a benefit of individuals from this mining that they're doing. They mustn't be just looting copper to their countries to make those rich countries more richer and make us Africans more poorer. We must be benefiting from this mining.
Chirundu is quite strategic for the DRC as well as Zambia itself. We have the Beira port as well as the Durban port that are closer to the region and things like that. So that was the aim, is to ensure that the intra-trade is enhanced in the region.
Quando falamos num corredor de desenvolvimento aberto, não estamos a falar só na questão da componente porto, porque temos o nosso porto como um ponto extremamente valioso nesta costa oriental da África, que serve o interior, mas também, juntamente com a parte de rodoviária, com a parte do pipeline, com a componente das comunicações, que hoje são cruciais para darem sustentabilidade àquilo que é o acompanhamento do desenvolvimento. E internamente, para nós o corredor não é só mercadoria, o corredor também tem vida.
I think we should see it first in connection with the geographical position of this port, which is unique vis-à-vis the hinterland of Mozambique in this region. Basically, I'm talking about Malawi, Zimbabwe, DRC, as well as Botswana, that for some types of cargo they used to come through this port. In terms of metric tons in this port, we have handled about 4,200,000 tons compared to about 1.2 in 98 when we started. Commodities like coal, like minerals, these are classic railway business.
De fato, esta mina está dimensionada para operar em 35 anos e vamos produzir, numa primeira fase, 11 milhões de toneladas de carvão e mais tarde vamos duplicar esta produção para 22 milhões de toneladas de carvão, neste caso, por ano. Exportamos para alguns países em África e em outros continentes transmarítimos. Nas indústrias de tecnologia hoje modernas, a gente quando olha para um celular, olhamos para um motor, está lá sempre presente o carvão. Depois de sofrer todo o processo de beneficiamento, que começa desde a retirada do carvão na cava, e todo este processo de beneficiamento, nós temos um transporte via ferroviária, que é usada através da linha de Sena. linha de Sena que leva até o Porto da Beira.
O maior problema é que a população tem se queixado até o reassentamento. Foram deslocados das zonas onde estão as minas para um sítio árido onde não há água, não há rios. Eles não podem praticar os seus hábitos, que é a pastourice e a agricultura. As coisas estão a andar como estão a andar. O investimento que está sendo feito aqui ainda não está a ter repercussões que se possam ver.
This area is called Katandika, the name of the town, and it's in the Barwe district. It stretches where it limits with the province of Manica and touches the province of Tete. The water which is passing through our farm, it comes from the top of the mountain, and from there we just open the canal to take the water where we are going to do canal irrigation. The government has agreed with the Zimbabwean government so that they can manage that water, make dams, then people will have an area to get their water from for irrigation. All these rivers, they are going to supply Pungwe with the water from here.
Estas boas relações foram reforçadas a partir.
They will be able to maintain clean and safe water.
The meeting we have been holding is composed of two delegations, one from Zimbabwe and the second one from Mozambique.
The first question we agree that we are going to discuss is the water payment.
These two delegations are stakeholders in terms of water use. We were discussing the relationship between these two stakeholders, especially in the area of water sharing.
Can we start? Yes. Right, let's go.
And discussions on water pollutions and how best we can also equally conserve the environment. I've had an opportunity to go to Kenya, South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi. I have seen that some river valleys are dry, and the history says these used to be big rivers. What does this mean to us? It means to us that the water resources are limited. They can be exhausted. They can disappear.
The park is pretty big. It's about 4,000 square kilometers. In this park, we've got lots of poaching problems. Most of the people, they're coming and hunt animals just to feed themselves. I think the problem is coming from the poverty. Most of people, they don't have nothing to feed at their home, so they just come and poach animals so they can have support for their families, you know? This is juvenile hairy hawk. Oh, we've got about 400 types of species of birds that we have in Gorongo as a national park, including both sides, the mountain and right here on the flat plains. Most of the water sources that are running come straight inside in the park. They're coming from the mountain. So if we lose the part of the mountain, we're also going to lose the park. I can say the development of the country in the central Mozambique, it's coming from the park. Most of the people that are working inside the park, they're getting employed, they're getting money, they're getting their salary from the park.
O que foi feito neste momento para reabilitar o parque inclui 3 pilares principais. O pilar número 1, que é a reabilitação ambiental, o ecossistema de Gorongosa, está sendo reabilitado. O segundo pilar é a parte social e o terceiro pilar é a parte econômica.
O que nós pensamos aqui é que esta questão da vinda das grandes companhias do seu assentamento, neste caso, na bacia carbonífera de Tete. Mas acho que criam-se novas oportunidades, criam-se novos empregos, gira mais riqueza e ao girar mais riqueza também há mais desenvolvimento.
If we have been adding value to most of our raw materials or our natural resources, you would find that we would be able to distribute this growth much more.
Je peux dire aujourd'hui que grâce à ce petit marché qui se développe avec des opérations commerciales, beaucoup de citoyens arrivent à se nourrir parce qu'ils vivent au jour le jour. Ils vont prendre les produits auprès des grossistes ou des semi-grossistes qu'ils revendent au jour le jour et ils prennent leurs bénéfices. Mais pour un pays qui veut son développement, ce n'est pas durable. A vu qu'au niveau du Bénin, on peut développer d'autres types d'activités. Parce que nous disposons de près de 250 sites touristiques. Nous avons des valeurs culturelles et cultuelles qui sont à vendre, qui aujourd'hui peuvent amener le Bénin à se positionner au plan mondial du point de vue touristique et au plan de la sous-région par rapport à desservir les pays de la sous-région.
We have 100 and 1,000 people who live on this lake. So we have 42 villages on this lake. Now we go to visit the biggest of them, which is Canvie. This village, since 1717, they don't like the slavery, but they need a peace place to live. And Gambia is a peace place for them. The people who live here, we call them Tofinu. Tofinu, why? Tofi is water people. Now, this place, many people knows it. Nigeria people, they come to visit it. Ghana, they come to visit it. Togo people, they come to visit it. West Africa, we have more tourists who came again to visit it.
Par rapport au tourisme, nous sommes en train de développer également une expérience avec des écoles du Nigeria qui vont commencer à envoyer leurs élèves pendant les périodes de Pâques, de vacances, à faire du bilinguisme. Je dirais qu'avec les autres pays à l'Est comme au Nord, il y a une intégration parfaite parce que des commerçantes béninoises vont tout simplement au Togo, au Burkina ou au Niger acheter des produits comme l'oignon.
Djibouti is quite well located internationally and globally, and serve as a gateway to numbers of countries of the eastern part of Africa.
Depuis 1998 et le différend éthiopien-érythrée, tout le fret est passé par Djibouti. L'importance du corridor djibouto-éthiopien est énorme sur le développement des sociétés de Djibouti. Parce que derrière nous, il y a un grand pays de plus de 80 millions d'habitants et tout le fret, tout ce qui est consommable en Éthiopie passe par Djibouti.
Ethiopia economy is developing very well. They have double-digit growth for the last 15 years and so. So more development in Ethiopia means for us more volume to be handled in through our ports and through the corridor. So the economy of both countries are really interlinked.
Any type of cargo is going in Ethiopia, like spare parts, raw material. The main export of Ethiopia is coffee, cotton, pea beans, hides.
We have, as of today, 3 ports. We have the container terminal, which is Dorale, in partnership with DP World. The old port, which is mainly in cargo, general cargo port. And we have the oil terminal. This year, we will start building the 4th one at Tajora.
Djibouti is the only port with a facility that is operating in the 2 folds. The only other facility like this, which is in Mombasa, which is also registered for operating bulk grain and fertilizer. They're only doing grain. They've never ventured into fertilizer. Facilities have been constructed by a Belgian company, Vegan, pneumatic pressurized suction machineries for sucking bulk commodities. The demand for bulk fertilizer is increasing year by year. So at this particular moment, we are handling 800,000 metric tons for the year 2012.
By Free Zone, Jebel Ali Free Zone, Jabza, they are partner. They are holding shares in the GV, the joint venture, and also they are operating the Free Zone. So the companies abroad in Europe or in Asia, they are coming to create their companies or to manufacture the products in the Free Zone to get closer to their customers, to reduce the transit time after the payment is made.
Les principaux challenges pour Djibouti, c'est surtout un développement du réseau routier qui maintenant ne va que jusqu'en Éthiopie, mais je pense qu'il devrait pouvoir se développer ensuite sur d'autres destinations, comme le Sud-Soudan par l'Éthiopie. Il y a aussi un grand projet de rénovation du chemin de fer qui actuellement est très défaillant.
Here is our operation center. We are handling the cargo here. We are doing the clearing of the forwarding. Today we are handling 400 TEUs, which is corresponding to 210 trucks. There is a single administrative document which is used between the 2 companies. It is transmitted as electronic files. Which the Ethiopians are receiving in their system. They are cross-checking only with the documents and the trucks is going. The bottlenecks of this transport, of these corridors between Ethiopia and Djibouti is the transport system. All the goods are, for the time being, is transported by trucks only. And there is not enough trucks, and there is not adequate trucks to carry the cargo.
ያው መጠሪያው ፒካዶስ ነው የሚባለው የሀገሩ መጠሪያ ነው። እንደመጣን እዚህ ነው የምንገባው። እዚህ እንገባለን፣ ገቢ ወጪ ጭነት ጭነን እዚህ እንገባለን። ከዛ ያው ተረካቢው የሚሰራውን ስራ ጨርሶ ሲጠራን ሄደን ወደብ እናራግፋለን። እስከዛ ድረስ እዚህ ውስጥ ነው የምንቆመው። ይሄው የምታዩት ግቢ ማለት ነው። ከዛ ከተራገፈ በኋላ እንደገና ደግሞ ወደ ኢትዮጵያ የሚገባ ጭነት ሲኖር እሱን ጭነን እንመለሳለን። እዚህ እንደመጣው ያው ለመለስ እስከ 7 ቀን ጊዜ ድረስ ይፈጅብናል። እስከ 7 ቀን ያው ከዛም ባነሰ የምንወጣበት ጊዜ አለ። ከዛም በረዘመ ጊዜ የምንቆይበት ሰዓት አለ። ከዛ ውጭ የምንኖረው ያው እዚህ መኪና ውስጥ ነው። እዚህ እንበላለን፣ እንጠጣለን፣ ተመልሰን ገብተን መኪና ውስጥ ነው የምናለው። ሌላ ምንም ማረፊያ ቦታ የለንም። ቦታው ደግሞ እንደምታዩት ያው አቧራ ነው። ጥራቱን የጠበቀ አይደለም። ሁለቱም እያደገ ነው። ወጪም ገቢውም ከድሮ በጣም እያደገ ነው። የሰው ፍላጎት ሲጨምር አገር ሲያድግ ፍላጎቶችም እየጨመሩ ይላሉ። ከዛ አኳያ ነው።
Ethiopia has much more capacity in terms of green energy. 70% of our electricity is produced by Ethiopia.
We are supplying Djibouti renewable energy, and we have already entered into power purchase agreement with Sudan, which will be started very soon, and as well we have an agreement with Kenya. This particular power project, which is called Beles Multi-Purpose Project, is we don't have dam. We are using a natural reservoir of Lake Tana. We take water from the lake through 12 kilometers of tunnel with 7.2 meters of diameter. It's a big tunnel which is constructed using the tunnel boring machine. So this water, after 12 kilometers, will go into deep shaft of nearly 300 meters. It reaches into the turbine and rotates the turbine to generate the required electricity. River and water is our fuel, so we have to convert this one to electricity. We have to export it. We have to generate revenue. We have to overcome poverty.
It accommodates around 20 to 25 millions of people all over the coffee chain, starting from the farmer up to the end of the export window. So it has a very quite substantial amount of the working society. Ethiopian government has taken one step ahead. We have now dry port in Mojo. They are facilitating to have most of the containers reserved here. Most of the staffing is to be done in Ethiopia itself. So if the staffing is done in Ethiopia, if the container is loaded on a truck in Ethiopia, and the only thing left in Djibouti may be offloading the container and loading it on the vessel. The commodity exchange market is a new kind for us as a country. We have been trading traditionally. Is especially for the suppliers, they get their money paid on the next day of the trade.
What we really felt in starting the Ethiopia Commodity Exchange was that it was important to try to bring integrity and reliability and efficiency into the supply chain. The biggest creditor in Africa is not Barclays or Standard Chartered or anybody else, it's actually the small farmer. Because they are often selling on credit. They're told to come back the next week when the merchant has sold the goods, and it could be any period of time by the time they get paid. And if prices should fall in the interim, then they will bear that risk. So when we set up the Ethiopia Commodity Exchange, one of the things we promised to the market is a reliable payment system which would be guaranteed the next day. We are the only exchange that has a next day payment system. We have real-time price dissemination from our server. It goes up on our price board on the trading floor, but also around the countryside on 82 screens around the country. The cost of storage, the cost of handling is tremendous, extremely, probably higher than anywhere else in the world. When you have a system like ours that says, here we're going to set up this transparent, efficient marketing for the commodity, then you see now a catalyst emerges for investments in storage services, in fumigation, cleaning, drying services for the commodities. I think this is a very exciting time when, as Africans, we can start to realize the dream held from long ago that we really will start to have economic power as a region if we build these systems together.
As you know, Africa is growing very fast now. With a billion population and a huge reserve of natural resources. We have seen our cargo business growing between 20 to 30% in the last 7 years. And our forecast is this growth is going to continue for the next 15 years. The challenges are the same whether it's in cargo or passenger. The first being regulatory framework, too much restriction in flying rights, traffic rights. We have the Yamoussoukro Declaration in Africa, more than 20 years old, but implementation has been extremely slow, painfully slow. And as a result of this today, it's very painful to see African skies are more open to non-African carriers than African carriers. The second challenge is the aviation infrastructure. It has been improving slowly, but a lot is expected to meet the aviation growth and development, which is essential public service for the continent. Aviation should be seen as essential public service and should be encouraged because economic developments of African countries, and especially landlocked African countries, heavily depend on air transport.
There is no doubt that Africa is on the move. There is this very positive belief, that self-belief even, that Africa is on the move, and this is actually the movement for Africa. And this can actually be demonstrated by the numbers that we see.
We've made a good start. We've shown commitment. We are putting the right policies, and gradually, not at a slow and not a snail speed, but eventually we are getting there.
I really expect an African continent completely out of poverty. African people will be able to meet the minimum basic requirement. There is no inequality. All the citizens have equal rights, and people enjoy to live in Africa. That's the picture.
The future is incredibly bright. I think we're at an inflection point in the region's fortunes. If you look at the cross-border flows, trade between Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, these have already taken off. The question is how to boost them and really get them to be a key driver of our economic engine for this region.